I had no idea that it could be that he was so jealous and so envious because the woman that he loved was off with another man having a child, and seeing that child is a constant reminder of that love. And he's all, heck no, I don't want any of that. And the fact that he sends Justina off was all because of that, because he has this whatever inside him that he's like, no, nobody can be, Roberto can't be happy. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Today we're talking Daryl Dixon, Season 3, Episode 6. Welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about TV and movies. I'm Diana. Renee is here. Hi, Renee. How are you today?
Hello. I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing really good. There were a lot of revelations in this episode, and one of the revelations that we'll talk about in a little bit got me to thinking about what if tomorrow this zombie apocalypse happened? Where would you want to find yourself? Would it be in the city, chilling by the beach, hiding out in the mountains, or where? Okay, so you and I will think about that. We'll answer it later on. Friends out there, we want you to think about that too, because that's one of those things that comes across my mind often. It's like, what would I do? So we'll answer that in a little bit. But yeah, a lot of revelations in this episode. We see Daryl and Paz rally support, and they plan their move to Barcelona. Carol races to save Roberto, uncovers Antonio's past, survival, tough choices, revelations, those quiet emotional moments, and some more romance were in this penultimate episode. So, Renee, what was a highlight or a revelation for you?
Well, I think the big one was learning the truth about Antonio's wife and Fede's feelings for his wife and where that tension has been coming from. I thought that was a very big one. And I enjoyed seeing Daryl and Paz together. That was fun to see the two. We hadn't seen much interaction between those two, so that was fun. I loved Carol and her awkwardness when she caught him in the shower. I just love that because Carol doesn't usually get caught off guard. She's usually ready for anything.
True.
She was not ready for that. So I thought that was great. And Carol, figuring out what was going on with Roberto, why he was so sick. So there were several things I was just very, they were just such important moments, and they really, really resonated with me. And I was very excited to learn all this new information.
Well, you and I were talking right before we pressed play about this episode, and we had said there was a lot of action, but it didn't feel like that was what was moving it forward. And we had mentioned that there were a lot of revelations in this episode, and we kind of needed those, even though maybe it wasn't as impactful as previous episodes, or just like last episode where we're like, oh my gosh, we're getting everything that we had been wanting and seeing. But yes, I think we did get a few answers, or at least some more clues to what we were questioning. And yes, Antonio's revelation about what happened to his wife and just sort of how that unfolded and how that was a secret held from Roberto, not really knowing, and the friction that that's going to cause going forward. But also Fede, I felt like, I was thinking that maybe he was the father of Roberto, but I couldn't figure out why would you want to harm your own son. Mm-hmm. So then I kept thinking, no, it can't be that. I had no idea that it could be that he was so jealous and so envious because the woman that he loved was off with another man having a child, and seeing that child is a constant reminder of that love. And he's all, heck no, I don't want any of that. And the fact that he sends Justina off was all because of that, because he has this whatever inside him that he's like, no, nobody can be, Roberto can't be happy. He's that, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. What do you think about that?
I like what? It's not Roberto's fault. I like, why is he heaping all this on him? This was between Antonio and him and Maria. I don't understand why, if there's more, if
Right.
more reasoning
Could there
will
be
come
more?
out about why
Yeah.
he's doing this to this boy who, who couldn't help any of this, So, but no,
Right.
I mean, yeah, it was shocking to learn that it was just like the snowball effect because of that. And he's just so crazy jealous and envious and whatever else of Antonio and his wife. And yeah, it was very shocking because I know we've discussed what the heck could this be, or
Yeah.
I think did one of the callers mention something about maybe Justina and Roberto being related somehow, or
Right.
that
Yeah.
was yeah,
I had mentioned it
mhm,
and they had chimed in. They thought maybe it was
mhm.
something like that
Yeah, and
because,
so we've speculated a couple different things because,
yeah,
but no, this was not very unexpected, and I still don't quite understand why. So hopefully more light
more
will be
will
shed
be
on that. Yeah,
revealed. Yes. Yeah. I'm hoping so too. It's just okay, I was leaning this way and now
yeah.
I'm leaning this way because that's what it appears to be.
Mhm.
But you're right. Maybe there's more to it than that. But what it felt like was this
Mhm.
envious jealousy because it didn't make sense that he didn't want him alive. The fact that he would go to the extent of the cat, which really hurt me. Damn it, you hurt that cat. It was so cute. Antonio was really, you know, petting that cat, had the cat on him, and it's like, oh man. And you saw that cat licking that cup, and you're like, oh no. But just watching Carol, in this episode, everything that she goes through to save him was great to
Mhm.
see, and also that we saw more of Daryl's uh, dreams.
Mhm.
That was a longer version
Yes,
of
yeah, we
that,
got to
which
see a
I'm
lot
sure
more.
we'll talk about in a few minutes. But that was I'm so glad when they give us a little bit more after each episode. And yes, seeing Daryl and Paz go off and do all of this that they're doing and just learning more about her because we finally get to learn more about who she is. And just watching them work together was good. I just love that opening scene when she gets out of the car and just the walk she does. I thought,
Mhm.
man, she feels like a pro. I'm sure she's done probably a lot of things that I haven't seen her in, but I felt like she knew what she was doing as an actor. So I appreciated her in this. All right. What did you think about Daryl and Carol in this episode?
So I just felt like Carol was all over the place this episode. Her journey during this, she had so many things going on. So you know, she handled the awkward situation with the shower, and it was just so much fun to see that and him trying to stumble over his words, and then he invites her to the shower, but that's not what he meant. And that later, but then he's just like, and it was just so comic.
It was funny. It was funny. It's like one of those sitcoms,
Yes.
where the wrong thing happens. That's hilarious.
And no one knows what to say. So it was that was just kind of a light little thing to throw into this heavy, we just learning all this stuff. And then she played the sleuth and figured out what Fede was when he was trying to do, to poison Roberto. I love how her maternal instincts kicked in and she was bound and determined to do whatever, she had to get in there, get that medicine and save that boy. And, because we know she's a mama bear. She will take care of kids that whether they're hers or not. There's a kid in need. She will always step up and do that. So I just felt like she had a lot go on, and especially at the end there where she was in the vehicle and Roberto's covered up back there. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna do something to her, And so I was glad to see that Antonio saved her from that and kind of diverted the attention away from her,
Yeah.
and what's going on. So yeah, I felt like she had a lot going on this episode.
She did, and I felt like it was so Carol. Like,
Mhm.
it's what we know of her. Like, she just takes matters into her own hands. She's gonna do what she wants to do. She doesn't care what anybody says. I'm gonna go get that medicine. I'm gonna protect Roberto at whatever cost, even at risk to
Mhm.
me, and I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, she's so ballsy. So good to see her. And also seeing her with Antonio, because you see these two different sides of her. You see this warm, empathetic, nurturing person, but she's willing to do whatever it takes. And like you said, when she was getting ready to leave and she has her hand next to her, her pistol, her gun, ready to get it to act at any moment. Yeah, she's just so good at what she does. And just, she has to navigate this world that she's in, and she's so good at it. Both her and Daryl are so good at this. And I think that's why we love watching this show so much, because we know these characters, we know where they've been, what they've been through. Sometimes Carol has been really broken, and not blaming her at all, because she has every reason to be broken. A lot of people would have been gone, done whatever, not be here anymore. But no, she keeps surviving and figuring out her way. And I also really appreciated the moment when she tells Antonio what we've seen in the previews, where she says, you got to survive and then keep on surviving. And then if you're lucky, you get to experience living again. So it was really good to see her say that. And when she was trying to break in to Fede's place, I was so panicked for her. Oh, they're going to catch her. They're going to catch her. They're going to catch her. And then she finally gets in and she's looking through everything and discovering some things in there too. And then Doña Marga, I'm not even sure if that's her name or not, but Fede's mom comes in with the gun. And the fact that Carol is so calm and she knows how to convey what she needs to convey to get what she needs to get. I mean, I don't think it's an act, but then at the same time, I'm like, Carol, you're good at pulling off whoever you need to be in that moment. But I think she really does care. And so, here come those tears, and she's doing whatever she needs to get what she needs to get. But I was surprised that she was able to talk his mother. It's his mother, right? It's Fede's mom, right?
Yeah. She's so protective of him. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that Carol got through to her, even with her broken Spanish, it says something about the mom too, right? Wanting to do what's right for these people that she cares about in her community. So it's like, damn, my son's doing the wrong thing. What's wrong with you? But yeah, so those were all good moments.
And then I have one more thing about Carol. She finally got to taste the local wine.
Ah, she did.
I thought that. I was like, oh, good, finally. And then I was thinking, was this a beginning of something, or was this the goodbye?
I know. Well, it was hard to tell even from her look, because she's pulling around, driving around, she keeps looking back at him. I don't know. And what does it mean, right? What does it mean? But he's saving her right now, because he comes out at the perfect moment to, I mean, he's not just saving her, he's saving his son at the same time, because he wants his son to, but still that kiss. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about that big fat kiss he put on her. And he's all, man, that's my son and this new woman that's making me feel alive again. Yeah. So he's making sure they get out of there. So it was good. She's such a quick thinker. So
I felt like
loved it.
Like we've talked about how she seemed to kind of be quite different up and, she's experienced a lot. She was injured. She's had a lot going on. And in this episode, I feel like, okay, there she is. Now she's coming out of all of that. She's, that kind of has a focus now on something else, and so I'm probably feeling better also, and so I just felt like, while all these things she's doing, I'm like, okay, there's Carol. And again, Daryl is very, he's still Daryl, but there's these little pieces of him. Like, he always keeps his emotions hidden. You don't usually know what's going on with him. Even with Carol, he'll just be mumble around, and he won't tell her everything. She might whittle it out of him, but he's not willingly giving it. But ever since he's lost Isabel and Laurent, he's something different happened with him when he lost her, and then doesn't know if he'll ever see Laurent again. I think it's been harder for him to hide what's inside, because there's so much emotion boiling underneath for him. And so it's been interesting to watch him. And then these flashbacks from his childhood, which I'm glad I kept complaining because they were so short. It's like, what's happening? What's happening? And this time we see Merle, and he's saving his brother, and his dad's coming in, and he's like, run, go, don't look back. He's telling him to go, and he's like, I can handle this. I can take this. And that's It's just, crazy to see all that because we know that there was a bad childhood and there's the
Right.
age gap between him and Merle. And at one point, Merle does leave him there, not thinking. I don't know why he didn't think his dad would be Daryl instead, but for whatever reason, they talk about that, way early in The Walking Dead. And so anyway, I was glad to see finally the flashback that was a little longer. And then for me, the biggest thing for Daryl was when he had to let go of just his hand, because he knew, the walkers were coming, he was going to die. And that was just heartbreaking to watch because, I'm sure that brought up all kinds of emotions of, different things that have gone on with him just throughout his whole life, and having to let someone go or not be able to save someone like he wanted to, or thinking about himself and no one saving him. Daryl's just gone through a lot of emotions that we don't usually see from him. And it's real interesting to see. He's still keeping his cool and he's still able to fight, and he's, kind of push it aside and, focus on the task at hand. But, there's a lot going on with him.
Wow, you said so many great things. I got to remember. So I was thinking so many things as you were talking. First off, I do want to say we've talked about Daryl's acting and what an incredible actor I think he truly is. And I read an article, I think it was today or last night, that said that something to the effect of basically maybe he hasn't had a lot of lines or words or what previously, but it's like he really is a good actor. He's really great at what he does. I'm all, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging it. We all know it. We all know him and know what he does in the Walking Dead universe. Of course, he does all other kinds of acting too, but I feel like we just know him so well in here. And sometimes those quiet moments are really hard to act. It's harder because you're not using words to convey what you need to. So here we've seen him be more silent. Here we've seen him share more. And he's always so good at it. I believe him. I believe every time he is on the screen, I believe him. Just like I do Carol too. It's like they are so good at what they do. Their chemistry together and even apart in what they do. And when he was holding her hand, I felt broken for them when he couldn't get to her and he couldn't get the keys to work and it went off and he's like, I'm sorry. And I felt the loss. I'm like, what? What do you mean you didn't get it? What? But don't we need that? We need that because not everything is a win. It can't be. And so it makes sense that it didn't happen this time, but it was very heartbreaking that he couldn't get her out. Yeah. And you could see that happening, right? You're trying every key as fast as you can, and it's just not in time to get it done. So I thought that was a good moment. Another moment with Daryl that moved me was when Paz and him were talking, and she says, basically, I know my story and why I feel the way I do, but what about you? You've experienced loss too. And he's all, I've lost a lot of people. And when his voice said that, I almost felt like a crack in there. And I was like, my throat and my lip were like, it was like, no, because we feel the way, because we know what we see anyways, all the characters that we have lost in his life. So it was like, whoa, that was just hard. But of course, it's Daryl, it's Norman Reedus conveying that to us. So I thought that was so good. But as a character, I think he's really showing his leadership, being strategic, assessing this community that they have met up with, and just knowing how to work with them, how to figure it out. I found it interesting. The one gal with the crossbow, I felt like twice he looked at her like something, and I don't know what that was. I don't know if he appreciated her efforts. I don't know if it was because she had a crossbow. Then I thought, well, does he think he knows her? Like what? I noticed twice he gave her like a second more length of a look. And I'm like, why is he doing that? He did it at the crossbow part. And then at the very end, when they were at that beach, gorgeous scene, by the way, that beach that came in those tall buildings and where they were separating. And he tells Paz, hey, he's going to keep going, basically. He's going to keep, even though he has to go against Alcazar,
Mhm.
he's going to do it. And she goes with him, like, I guess I'm going with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, he looks at that person that had the crossbow
Interesting.
again.
I missed that.
So I didn't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it meant anything. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe it just meant, wishing you guys luck. I don't know. But I did notice that. All right. Was there anything about the cinematography that
I guess this time, not as much as we've seen. I guess, again, I just feel
Yeah.
like we came off this incredible episode. And this one
Yeah.
it was a great episode. There was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't as big as the last one. And so I guess there wasn't a whole lot for me with cinematography wise. It's all pretty and beautiful and things like that. But I guess I didn't pay enough attention. I don't know.
Well, they did show how big it was,
Yeah,
right?
that was-
And even
yeah.
Daryl
Mhm. Like,
comments,
"Girl."
whoa, this is big.
Yeah.
And also, that amusement park that they're
Yeah,
at.
that was neat. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like I said, that beach scene, I noticed it the second time. I must have been looking down at the first time. The second time I came on, like, whoa, where is this? What are they doing? And you see the big buildings, and then you come in on the ocean. I'm like, yeah, they're by the beach again. So that was pretty cool. So I thought that those were really nice, seeing where we're at. What about the themes? Did any stick out to you this time?
Yeah, I felt like a lot of characters. Three things came to my mind: vulnerability and courage and emotions. It just seemed like we had a lot of characters with those three. Kind of go through all three of those. And we saw. Antonio and has both opened up about their pasts and things. And so that was good character building to, learn more about these characters that hopefully go on into the next season. Fingers crossed that we're not going to lose them all at the end. Of course, Antonio's big, just sharing all that with Carol was huge, but like I loved her, when he said about you don't understand. She's like, then help me understand. And, and for them, if this does become a relationship or, more than just friends or whatever, you need that. You need to know those things about the other person and stuff. So I really liked that he was vulnerable to be able to tell her all that. And I thought it was very interesting too, that as that story, what we see the very end where he's sitting with her and then we see people starting to change. So that was at the beginning of the outbreak and things. And so that I always, and I don't know why, but I just always love seeing the beginnings of that. And I think most fans of The Walking Dead do, because it's just different ways to see how did people handle this? What happened? Because that's one of those things that's just like, what if you're just standing there, this person, it's a very scary thought, So I love that we got to see that was at the beginning of the outbreak.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring it up in our highlights and totally went over my head, because I'm so glad I didn't bring it up. But that was what sparked the question of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that was one of the biggest kind of surprising, but revelations, because I'm like, wait a minute. She's turning, because you hear people screaming and she's in the ambulance. She's turning, but I'm going to segue out of there. We'll get back to our themes in a moment, but I do have a question, because I kept saying to myself, she's been dead for a while, meaning because it was happened earlier on and now it's nighttime. And now this outbreak's happening, and you see even somebody who's covered up sits up. So we've never gotten answers as to how this started,
Mm-hmm.
but I find it interesting that whatever it is happened to people that died hours and hours and hours ago, even though it's just at its beginning point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want
answers.
answers.
You
Yeah.
think back to Dr. Jenner and his wife and how long it took her. So it was always different some people were immediate and some were longer,
But what I mean is that this was the beginning. So when was the moment? That's what I'm getting at. Not how long it takes for anybody
Okay.
after that happened, right? Because once it's happening, we know it takes people different times. But what I'm saying is, what was the moment when all of this started to happen? Like, was it noon? Did something come from the earth at a certain time? Like, did a virus, what is this? I just feel like it kind of gave us, just a little more information in a way, even though I don't know what that information is and how it will play out. But I feel like it was more information, which was, I think, powerful. And her dying, and that's what made me think, right? Because all of a sudden, this just happened to them. And that's what sparked the question of the day was like, what if you wake up tomorrow and this happens? What are you going to do? Where do you want to be?
I did just think about this, though. She didn't die immediately because remember, they were trying to revive her. And he said, or she didn't die.
True.
He didn't die right away. But again, I don't know how, we don't know the time, but it was getting dark by the time. But I don't know, like when that last EMT guy kind of said, no, we can't, no, there's nothing else.
True.
So it wasn't immediate. But anyway, no, I understand what you're saying. Like,
no, that helps.
We're all carriers, though. But that's it. Like, we're all carriers. So, like, what made,
Yes.
I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know the answer, though, but
I don't know the answer either, but I'm glad that you reminded me that she wasn't dead immediately because my mind was thinking she died at the blast. But you're right. They did say something like we tried to revive her.
Antonio was like, try do something else. And he's like, there's, nothing else we can do. So.
Right.
Anyway, but still, I don't know what that time period it was either from that moment until, she started to turn. So anyways, but yes.
Oh, okay. Back to the themes.
All right. Courage. Of course, Carol, I thought she was so very courageous, just doing all these things to try to help, Roberto and Antonio and, get that medicine. And so all of that, I just, I thought she was very courageous. And then, like the emotional aspect of so Daryl, Paz, Carol, Antonio, Roberto, they, everybody was going through all these emotions and, Roberto having to learn about his mom and what happened there. That's, and, yes, Carol said he'll talk to Antonio. He'll talk to you again sometime. Just give him some time. He's got to process all this. He's learning brand new information about his mother's been dead for many years. And, it's so there was, So those were three of the big, I thought were, big themes a lot of the characters experienced this episode.
Yeah. Well, I have courage also in taking action, standing up to the threats, rallying allies, making tough choices in this dangerous and uncertain world. I mean, they're all just taking so many. It takes a lot to survive, and you have to have courage in order to do it. Otherwise, you kind of go the other route if you don't. So, but also guilt. Yeah. So many people had guilt here. Daryl has guilt of, not being able to figure that out. And Paz has guilt for her not being able to save Elena, get to her and letting go and letting, like she feels she let herself down because she stopped looking for her. And then she saw Roberto looking for Justina. And she's like, well, I need to keep doing this too. I need to keep searching. And then of course, Antonio, that was huge. All the guilt that he feels and also that human connection because there's just all these bonds that they have. And that's how they get through it with Antonio and Carol, with Paz and Daryl, and just making these connections that you have and just like Paz and the community that of those women and people that survived. Or they're whatever. I don't even know how you want.
Or they were like a refugee. I think she called them a refugee camp.
Refugee
for the women.
Camp. Yes. So even having that connection with them, she hasn't seen them in years, but you still have that connection with these people. So that's what I saw. Even amongst all this chaos that we see, that's what's important, and that's what you hang on to. Let's get to our rapid fire questions. Okay, Renee, I'm going to ask you 3 questions and you're going to answer whatever hits you. Okay. So the first one, I don't even know the answers. I don't know what answers I'm giving either, just so you know. Here we go. What was the biggest shock? What surprised you most in this episode?
I think learning about Maria's death, but I think mostly about Fede and him being, in love with her. That was, I like we talked earlier, it just was very unexpected. So I think that was, for me, the most shocking.
Oh, what is the most shocking? To me, what the most shocking was what we talked about was Antonio's revelation about what really happened to his wife and that she turned. I'm like, oh my God, this is shocking, but so cool. And oh my gosh, the Easter egg all in one. So I think it was all wrapped up really good. So I really like that. Okay, what was the most intense moment? Which moment had the most tension or suspense?
Carol breaking into Fede's building, like you said, that woman, that gave me, I had so much, I'm not an anxious person, but man, I was like, they're going to find her, they're going to torture her, Daryl's going to come back at her. You know, I mean, like it was playing on my head. I was just, that whole thing. I mean, there were some other, you know, like tense moments and things like that, but that was the one that gave me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that's mine too, but I was also thinking with Daryl holding on to Lucina's hand or not hand, sorry, when he's trying to open the lock, really, he used to get one key after another. I'm like, hurry up, Daryl, hurry up. Those walkers are going to get to you, you know, but still, it was Carol. I don't know. There was just something real intense about that moment. So who has the most to lose? So which character stakes felt the highest to you?
I'm going to go with Fede because now that his secrets are getting slowly revealed, you know, what is that community going to do to him? You know, I mean, this is not the time to be messing around because they'll just murder you in the streets and there's no consequence, you know? I mean, so I think, you know, everyone has a lot, I think, going, but for him, you know, he's a leader of the community. He's got all these resources and, you know, he's got these, you know, deals with, you know, Guillermo and, you know, just all these things. And, you know, it's crumbling. And so I feel like I think it's Fede.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I really agree with you. I could be any of our characters, really, because everybody has something to lose. But I think I'm going to pick Carol because she was risking a lot to go get that medicine. She's risking her safety. She's risking her life because they just kill people around here. She's just risking a lot for even people that she's not. I mean, these are just people she met recently, and yes, they care for her, but I feel like she's risking a lot. Emotionally, she's putting herself at risk with the relationship with Antonio, with caring for these people, because that's what happens with Carol. She cares about people, and then they get ripped away from her. So I feel like, safety, life, emotional being. So I'm going to go with Carol for that. But so many. I mean, anybody can make an argument for any of these people, and it would be the right choice. So, all right. So I wanted to share a quick screen bite, a screen nugget. And so when Antonio was sharing a story, he told Roberto about St. George and the Dragon. It's a classic medieval tale where a knight saves a princess from dragon demanding sacrifices, and the townspeople join him. And it's all about courage and doing the right thing and standing up to impossible odds. But what I love is that it parallels what's happening here in this community because they're sacrificing these young women to the dragon. And now the townspeople rally together to help. So who's to say what'll happen in the next episode and with Fede and his group and even going forward. So I just thought that was a fun moment that was in here. Also, I wanted to bring up the Ferris wheel. Did you notice those people on the walkers, and they were dressed like in suits or something, which I found interesting. They were on a Ferris wheel in suits, and they were there. And so I'm like, oh, that was interesting. But, you know, maybe I'm just thinking about here where I live and everybody would be dressed in like
more casual. Yeah.
Yes, much more casual. So I'm like, okay, I got to remember not everybody lives where I live and dresses the way I dress. So, but I did find it interesting that they were wearing outfits. The other thing I wanted to bring up was that the story or throughout this episode, we see that Antonio loves filmmaking. He wanted to be a filmmaker, and he was doing this documentary. That was the whole purpose that he had his wife there at those protests. And I thought it was interesting how they used filmmaking inside this episode and showing the 8mm film. So I thought that I just wanted to bring that up too, because I thought that was a cool way for us to see the story unfold and to see Maria and who she was and seeing them all together as a family. So I thought that was pretty good. So let's get back to our question of the day. If the zombie apocalypse hit tomorrow, where would you want to be? Surviving in the city, chilling by the beach, hiding out in the mountains, or where?
I would go somewhere remote for sure, because don't want to be in the midst of all this and the mess. Close enough somewhere you can still go, scavenge for supplies and things, but you also want to be far enough away because you don't want all these people.
Yeah.
Because we've learned if The Walking Dead has taught us anything, if people just use that as an excuse to be the worst humans they could possibly be. So yeah, somewhere remote for sure.
It's scary to think about, right? When you start to put yourself in that position, you're like, where would I go? I wouldn't want to be like right there in the city when everybody's turning because there's too many people to grab at me. I mean, we've seen it, the Fear of the Walking Dead and just everywhere, all the big cities, everybody's chasing after you or whatever it might be. But, I kind of live, not in a big city, but I don't live in a rural area. But I guess if I had a choice, I would pick a mountainy area. I love the beach. I love it. But how can you run in that sand? And you have to eat unless you were fishing, maybe off a boat. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to go with you and pick a remote area somewhere. So somewhere we can put up a safety fence around there. I don't know.
Or an island. There you go. An island somewhere. That's if I can get to an island, that would be probably the best.
Very good. All right. Well, friends out there, what do you think? If tomorrow was the apocalypse, where would you want to be? Would you want to be in the city, at the beach, maybe on a farm, right? Herschel's farm. Or a mountain getaway. Let us know what you think. You can comment here wherever you're watching us. You can go to our social media, get to all of that at screensinfocus.com, or you can call us at 669-223-8542 and let us know what you would do. We would love to hear that. Also, you can leave us a message on any of the rapid fires or anything in this episode that you want to tell us about what you think. We would love to hear it. What are you looking forward to, Renee, in the finale?
I guess I don't know if I'm looking forward to a whole lot, but I'm worried someone's going to die or it's going to be a significant cliffhanger of someone in a very dangerous situation. Because the preview shows that Carol's going to go back. She's going to go back and Antonio, which we knew she would once she got Roberto somewhere safe. And then you got, Daryl and Paz heading to Barcelona or into the heart of it or wherever, whatever. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it because I'm afraid something bad's going to happen. But,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you that there's going to be a cliffhanger because we know they're going to remain in Spain for now. I'm just hoping some loose ends get tied up. I am also afraid. I'm afraid for Antonio in a way, something, I don't know. But wouldn't that be heartbreaking that Carol and Daryl head back to the States and both of them have loved and lost, on their way there? I mean, that would be so, so sad. Have you seen the previews at all?
Yeah, I saw where I think Roberto must go back with her too, because I saw him in one of the scenes.
Did you see the conversation between Daryl and Carol?
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm not going to give too much away, but I want to say it is a conversation. It feels very honest, very emotional, and I'll be curious to see it and get your take about it. We'll talk about it next week after we get the full scenes, but it's interesting because I want to talk about it now, but we're going to talk about it later because I just think it says a lot. It says a lot. It's just about feelings, how Daryl is feeling. That's really all it is. But the fact that he divulges how he's feeling is huge, right? So, and Carol is being receptive to what he's saying. So it's a good moment. It's one of those ones that's going to kind of tug at you. But it'll be interesting. And also, I don't know if you've seen that they're filming for season 4 already. And then that one with Carol, where there's multiple Carols, and they're joking around about Carol being all over the place. And then Daryl's all, "How is there any other Daryls around here?" At the end, it was so funny.
Yeah, I love seeing all those.
Yeah, I do too. So I can't wait for the next episode and of course the next season. So it'll be good. It'll be good. But I'm afraid we're going to lose somebody.
Yeah.
All right. That is a wrap up of episode 6. Let us know what you think in the comments and come back for the season finale and join us. All right. Let's skip to our TV and movie recommendations for this week. So what do you have for us this week, Renee?
So I'm still in the middle of a lot of series, so I haven't really started a lot of new ones, but I did watch a couple episodes of Boots that's on Netflix. And so this one, it tells of this bullied teen who enlists in the Marines and finds new purpose in his life. I love these movies or shows that have all this military stuff in it. And I admire everyone who goes into any kind of service like that. But man, it's always so hard. The boot camp parts are just it's just so hard to watch things because these are like, they're like younger than my son, and then this is how we're doing these things. But yeah, it's really good. Like I said, just 2 episodes in so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great story, great characters, and we're learning, you kind of learning more about the characters as you go, of course. But yeah, I so far I'm really enjoying it. So I recommend that one for sure. People should check that out. It's a good one. And there's comedic parts in it and things like that too. But it's pretty serious. A lot of it's pretty serious. So
okay.
So that's the new series that I've watched. And then I watched The Woman in Cabin 10, which I think I saw I watched as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it going in. I didn't know it was a book. My mom has read the book 3 times, I think she said. And so she was very excited to watch the movie to compare. But yeah, it was, Keira Knightley, she's a journalist. She uncovers this like intriguing mystery on board this super yacht with all these very wealthy people, of which she's not, so she's kind of an outsider and things. But yeah, I was riveted. I was like, okay, oh my gosh, what's happening? And I don't know, what'd you think of it?
I wanted to know what was going to happen too, but then at certain times it was a little bit predictable as it rolled toward the ending. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit far-fetched, but I mean, it's Keira Knightley. Yeah. She's good in what she does. So, and there was a lot of actors
like
in
David Morrissey from The Walking Dead was in it. So I thought that was fun. Yeah. He didn't have a huge part, but yeah, I was like, hey.
Yeah.
And so another one I watched on Netflix was The Wonder. It's from 2022 and it's set in the 1800s sometimes. And she plays a nurse who is tasked with coming to like stand watch over this girl who the family claims has not eaten for 4 months. So they don't know if this is, spiritual, is this. So they have a nurse and a nun. So they're getting a scientific medical kind of look at it as well as the spiritual side. And they take turns sitting with the girl to make sure no one's feeding her, to find out what's going on, all these things. And it was very interesting. It wasn't, the greatest movie I've ever watched, but it was interesting. And it was very different than, much else I've seen. So yeah, so it was pretty good.
Oh, awesome. I want to watch the Boots show that you had brought up. I saw that come up on my Netflix. I'm like, I want to watch that, but I'm hoping to tune in. There are so many things that came out that I cannot keep up. I'm like, I want to watch that. I want to watch that. I want to watch that. I can't keep up. I can't even watch my regulars. Yeah. But in saying that, I watched a new show that I really liked. Really good. It's called The Final Frontier on Apple TV Plus with Jason Clarke. It's set in Alaska. There's a bunch of convicts in an airplane. Reminds you of Con Air, but it's not. Okay, you know how it crash lands, and Jason is U.S. Marshal, and he's tasked with getting to the site and trying to figure out what happened, why it's there, what's happening. There's escapees, and there's one in particular. Without giving that much away, I will say both episodes that were released were incredible. I was gripped. I'm like, I want to see episode 3. My husband saw it with me. We both loved it. It's action-y. It's good. It's really good. So I highly recommend The Final Frontier. I also watched The Naked Gun. I wanted to see this in theaters with Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson. And it's funny. It's like 90 minutes. It's on Paramount Plus. So you want just a funny movie and to see Liam Neeson in something different, the same but different, then check this out. It's good. I also, oh my gosh, I watch I Like Me, John Candy documentary.
I love that title.
Yes.
I saw that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So if you know Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, then you'll know where that comes from. It's so good. I cried within the first minute, two that it came on. I cried again later on. He's such a good, generous, warm, comedic guy. And he just had things that happened in his life. His father passed away when he was 5. And that really impacted him and so many things. I don't want to give anything away because I want people to go watch a documentary, go watch a John Candy movie, because really, truly, I love him because he could be very comedic and funny, but he also touched you with his heart. There was something that he had that worked, and I wish more people had that gift. He was only 43 when he passed away, so it's really sad. So anyway, check that out. I did do my TikTok on that, so you can check out my review on YouTube, on TikTok, or any of those. So I enjoyed it. So yeah, so those are our TV and movie recommendations this week. Renee, thank you for joining me again today.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was great.
Anytime, every time. Okay. I'm going to miss you when this series is over. I'm going to have withdrawals. We'll find something when you have time. I know you're busy. But anyway, yes, it's such a pleasure to talk with you. Truly. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too.
Friends out there, we appreciate you too. Thank you so much for joining us today, for listening to us, for being here. Please, if you enjoy this podcast, share it with a friend. We would really appreciate that. You can get to everything in our show notes, screensinfocus.com. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.